Swift, ACH, and Fedwire are 70-year-old technology. That's ancient. That's gone. That needs to be ripped up. And so my belief is the banks won't be the winners the same way that the television companies weren't the winners in streaming. They should have been, right? The television companies owned all the content. How did they lose the content game to streaming? It makes no sense. Well, it's because they wouldn't give up the old. They wouldn't give up the good to go for the great. The banks aren't going to be able to rip up Swift. In fact, they're using it as a weapon, right? You saw them cut off Swift access for Binance to try to choke them off. And look, the harder the incumbents fight, the less chance they have to win. The more they embrace the new, the better. So if it were me, which it's not, right? I'm not in charge of these banks, and I don't get paid gazillions of dollars a year like Jamie. But they choose to push away and to criticize rather than to embrace and go buy up. If it were me, I'd be buying up the tech, the new rails. I'd be relabeling it my name, my brand, because I have brand equity, and I would go on into the future. But instead, Jamie gets up at WEF and takes 10 minutes saying it's a Ponzi scheme. And now everybody was all mad at Jamie. And I was like, no, guys, flip it around. You have arguably one of the most powerful people in the world. You don't have to like him, but you have to acknowledge he's one of the most powerful people in the world, right? Just don't have to like him, but he is that. Given a chance, 10 minutes on stage, on TV, in middle of WEF, he gets his 10-minute slot. He can talk about anything he wants. You can talk about weather. You can talk about football. You can talk about the event. Talk about Bitcoin.
He chose to talk about crypto.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. And now everybody says, no, Joe Kernan pulled. It doesn't matter. Look, when you're on media, you never answer the question, right? You deflect and redirect, right? So Jamie didn't have to talk about Bitcoin. He chose intentionally to talk about Bitcoin. I will argue you can judge the quality of an idea by the quality of its detractors. If nobody cares about your idea, it's not a good idea. If only low-level people who have no power care about your idea, it's probably not a really important idea. If people with power and money and prestige and influence don't like your idea, oh, you're on to something.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
The fact that the smartest, most powerful people in the world hate this thing, hate is a very strong word.
Something is
You only hate things. You only hate things. Think about this. In your life, what do you hate? You hate things that cause you pain or discomfort. And that's what's happening right now. I'm pretty comfortable saying that was the bottom, right?
Interesting. Okay.
Look, I thought the bottom was 17.8 on June 15th. I really thought that was the bottom.
Right.
But I said I didn't see FTX being a complete fraud. That wasn't on my bingo card. So, we lost another couple grand to that. There were a lot of good charts that said 10 to 12 was really the lower level that we should have hit, and we didn't get there. So now look, GBTC unravels, Tether turns out to be a total fraud.
That's a different
Deltec Bank is running money for some crime syndicate. Yeah, okay.
For sure. Now we got black swans.
Then maybe 10 to 12 comes into play. But I don't think anything lower than that. And I'm very comfortable saying the 15 was it, and we're back into spring. I'm not even sure we're gonna head back through the 18 level. I think the best thing to watch is higher lows and higher highs. So as long as we keep making higher lows, I'm comfortable that we're in a bull period. This was definitely a short squeeze, right? The last 3 weeks, total short squeeze
for sure.
Now we need to see signs of accumulation. If we see signs of accumulation, that'll be really, really good. And I said, my belief is April, May is the beginning of the 9-month run through the halving, which said
we'll see some ebbs and flows in there for sure.
100 is on the table, right?
Interesting.
I think we're going to add a zero. I think we're going to 10x the market cap, and we're going to, back to that 3 trillion level, and we're going to, not back to, we're going to the 3 trillion level, and I think that's coming, and it doesn't have to come tomorrow, and it doesn't even have to come next month or even by April, May. I think it's Q1, Q2 of next year. No, it's a big point I wanted to make that I forgot about earlier was you got the fundamentals on one side, and then you have the monetary piece on the other side. And here's the thing: Bitcoin and gold, but because they're both one and the same, don't like quantitative tightening.
Right.
They don't like money supply growth shrinking. So we actually have had in recent months, the first time in 60 years, 60, money supply actually shrink.
Interesting.
So if, and again, that's capital I, capital F, if the Fed follows, see, Japan already pivoted. Right. Japan unleashed a tidal wave. I mean, tidal wave of liquidity. And you look at the yen went from 153 to 128, like almost instantaneously. I mean, crazy. I mean, Kuroda-san is crazy. I mean, the dude is, otherworldly when it comes to printing money. So that was first. Second, China has increased their credit impulse, starting in kind of May, June of last year, and I think they're going to unlock from COVID zero, and I think they could stimulate $500 billion. I mean, a big number. So if the Fed follows, then that'll be good. Because the thing that people forget, one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin. We don't price it in Bitcoin. We price it in dollars. So the reason that Bitcoin goes up over time isn't because Bitcoin gets better. It's just a Bitcoin. It's because the dollar's getting worse. And so when we're quantitative tightening, the dollar got strong, which meant the price of Bitcoin went down. Now, as the dollar's getting weak, and the dollar's been in free fall, right, since October. I mean, absolute free fall. DXY just getting crucified.
Sure. Yeah.
And so if the Fed follows through, then I see a big tailwind for Bitcoin, gold, and all stores of value.